Greetings, brothers and sisters, and welcome to another edition of the Cosmo Ill Show. I would like to first start by sending my condolences to the family of our dear brother Mansur Ball-Bey, who was gunned down by the Roman forces in St. Louis, shot in the back, and he's no longer with us. So I want to acknowledge him and ask everyone to send out their prayers and their condolences to the family, and to be careful of the propaganda of the beast. And that's primarily what this show is about. There's a lot of propaganda that's going on right now, and in order to address it, I have to cover a few different topics, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to cover it all in this brief time, but I do want to emphasize this, and this is what brothers and sisters have to start understanding. First of all, it's one movement. One movement. Anybody who's in the movement, who's active in the movement, who's active in the way they understand and the way that they can demonstrate through whatever organization that they're demonstrating in, understands this and has no problem being unified with any other brother or sister outside of an organization, let alone inside their own organization. One, and that's it. So when you have people that fragment the movement and use divisions, and you see this coming from not just one organization, but it's an element, it's a perception, it's a wavelength, it's a vibration, it's a philosophy, all right? And it's due to many reasons. Sometimes it's due to the uncontrollable actions of the soul. People just walking around with their head held high without true knowledge to rule their ways. Other times it's by design. Other times it's people that are put into position to make sure that this, that, and the other does not gel, that it doesn't coagulate, that it doesn't become cohesive. This is the purpose of the agent and or the agent provocateur. And we've talked about COINTELPRO, so you can go into that. You don't have to be conscious. You can be an agent provocateur. So this becomes quite apparent in the murder of Brother Ball-Bey. And I wasn't going to do this show as soon, but it's just ludicrous, the things that I hear out there. It's just ludicrous, the things that are going on, that are coming out of people's mouths regarding, for example, I heard someone say via the internet that, I thought Moors were protected, and was using it as some example in a debate. Let's first understand that this is the murder of a human being. You know, so when someone does something like that, it just shows me how ignorant they are, but it also shows me that it's a knee-jerk reaction, that they're doing this all the time. They probably didn't mean anything by it. They're so used to combating and coming on the other side. But like I said, if you had an understanding that there's one movement, all right, first of all, the Moorish movement is the mother of all the movements. Let's get that straight. All right, nationally, that's the mother of it all. If you want to talk about Asiatic, Afro-Islamic movements, or a movement towards nationhood in North America, that's the mother of it all. And the other organizations have come out of a mixture of the Moors and the organizations which came out of the Moors. Secondly, even if you don't want to accept that, then let's look at it another way. Let's look at it from the point of view of a Moor that understands what's going on. All our people are Moors. Some are conscious, some are not. The unconscious ones are denationalized because they haven't proclaimed their nationality. But we're all Moors, period. So, when a denationalized Moor gets shot, it hurt me just as much as when a nationalized Moor gets shot. Let's get that straight. It's not a contest. It's not a point to prove, because we all mourn. Some are conscious of the fact, some are not. Now the difference comes in where when someone chooses to be a so-called, chooses to be in a slave status and in a slave state, knowing the truth, or chooses to fight against it because they're just so damn ignorant that they don't understand that therein lies their freedom. Which brings me to another ludicrous perception, that somehow you genetically morph and are no longer related to so-called Negroes, blacks, and colors once you proclaim your nationality. All right? If you proclaimed your nationality, then you were just turned black before you proclaimed your nationality. And now you're separate, above, and superior to your denationalized brother whom you are duty bound to uplift if you understand the principles properly. So just before I continue, I want everyone to understand that there's one movement. All of the different organizations and aspects of expression of that movement all tie into one another and all come from the same root and are all extensions. It's just some are not in line with the politics needed to free so-called Negroes, blacks, and colors from the status that they are trying to get out of. So by accepting these terms, Negro, black, and colored, you put yourself legally under certain acts and laws like the Civil Rights Act, you know, which keeps you perpetually in a temporary status, blah, 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 blah. You can do some more research on that. But I just want you to understand that before I go on and what I'm about to say next. And answer the question in part everybody wants to know. What's the difference between a so-called black getting killed and a Moorish national getting killed or murdered by the police? Because we're the same people genetically. Only one is nationalized and one is denationalized. So what's the difference? Is it that Moors aren't supposed to be shot by the police? Is it that Moors enjoy some magical status where everyone else in the United States can suffer from threat, duress, coercion, murder, and death at the hands of a brutal police force except Moors? I don't think so. Police terrorism is rampant on everyone in the United States. Disproportionately denationalized Moors, yes, but everyone suffers from this. The only difference in how it's going to be handled is if you deal with it under Civil Rights Act or some other type of act or that they have designed specifically for second-class citizens, or if you're going to deal with it like a national, which would be a free citizen. That's the only difference, because people get killed by police terrorism all the time, from other nations, other countries, you know, other sub-nations. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back with more from the Cosmo Ill Show.
International banker sitting in a synagogue of Satan. The aspirations make every nation a corporation. Alien invasion, Caucasian against the Asian. Unauthorized grazing, consistent colonization. They ally with the people, they suckle with their persuasion, and cancel those who disagree with them out the equation. Every track I'm blazing, I'm lacing with information. Western philosophies an attack on civilization. Don't believe me, check their policy, foreign and the domestic. And you'll see the backwardness in the system like a dyslexic. They breaking the highest law of the land, and they intended write a bill when you're offended. They switch it with an amendment, now it's back to how it used to be. Really, it never changed. Modern name for slave auction block is a stock exchange, arranged like the game of Monopoly. Those who are not referred to as the people are the property.
It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's not a theory, it's a conspiracy fact, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's not a theory, it's a conspiracy fact, y'all.
Traditional views and television news rules while the driver tightens down on the screws and slave blues and pay dues. But I don't see our name on the chart if they turn out leaders, come artists and constantly want to harm the
So you can talk to the law Moors about the remedy. I will say this, one of the tactics of the civil rights profiteers are to get people to take the blood money, of course, because if you take the settlement, then there's no human rights violation, or at least, it can't be followed up on because you settled, you took the deal. So that's why you have Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and all these people, and the same lawyers that don't win no cases, but get them the money. You see them popping up and getting with these families because that is what it is. They're profiteering in civil rights, and they're getting paid to do this, and they're backed by the government. And you already know Al Sharpton is a informant for the FBI. Even has an agent number, C-7, I believe, or something like that. But that's available. You can look that up too. It's no secret. Another tactic is to demonize him in the news, getting public sentiment to say, hey, this guy is a criminal and therefore he deserved whatever happened to him in some form or fashion. See, they have to do this, and some people are going to go for it. Most of the real folks are not, because they shot him in the back, and there's no way you can be a threat and be shot in the back at the same time. You can't do it. They want to make him look like a criminal and a thug because he appeared in the video and with a gun. He didn't have the gun. The guy, they make it seem like he was holding the gun. He was just in the video in the back. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole video. Maybe he gave it to him later. Regardless, it's a video. And is he talking about shooting at the police, or was the rapper talking about shooting at the police? Yes. Why? Because rap or urban griot or hip hop has always been a form of rebellion and verbal expression, and people say things in hip hop songs that they would never do in real life many times. But it also talks about the social conditions of the person who is telling you the rap, or who is rapping. So if somebody is rapping about these things, then that lets you know what's going on in their environment. That's letting you know the pressure that they feel from the oppressor. That lets you know they talking about the police terrorism, but nobody's listening, you see. But the media wants to go ahead and take this and use this to further demonize him. Hey, it's plenty of people that's been in plenty of videos and movies with guns, but that does not make them a criminal. Carrying a gun doesn't make you a criminal. Being someplace where maybe you shouldn't have been and not committing a crime doesn't make you a criminal. And if being someplace you shouldn't be, like loitering or vagrancy or something of that nature that they can drum up, it's still not worthy of death. So I don't know the details of the case, and I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I do. I do know that the family will be releasing some information soon, more information about it, and that they're handling it. And I believe it's Temple number 5 in St. Louis that is handling it. And so far they've released all that they can release at this point. But we will keep you updated, just like we always do. Now, quick note before I move on about Black Power, the political philosophy of Black Power. Understand that it's a political philosophy. It does not address nationality. It is a philosophy that says so-called blacks should be empowered. Now, if a black was empowered, how do you empower blacks? By giving them their nationality, teaching them about their nationality, and proclaiming. So every Moor should be about black power, and he should be able to help anyone seeking black power, which would be the political philosophy of empowering blacks to have the power to determine their own destiny. Now, this is very important. How do they do that? You already know. Now, that doesn't mean you have to run around saying black power or any of that stuff, but you have to understand that it's one movement. All right? Where does the Moor fit in that movement? We got the final solution: nationality. Because every nation on earth that has self-determination has a nationality. And they got a land, a flag, and a culture, which is what we have. On top of that, a Moor is active and not passive. So in your activism, you are going to run into brothers and sisters from all over, and you better know how to be able to be unified. Because we all under attack, denationalized or otherwise. But we have to understand that Ferguson is ground zero. They murdered Mike Brown, the people rose up, and now they're murdering the friends of Mike Brown. And the young protesters that got out there and are still out there. People don't understand that the focus has been taken off of Ferguson on purpose. And they're killing our young boys, nationalized or otherwise. And if anyone was ever in doubt, they know now. There's a war going on in the street. And the youth are not getting any support from their elders. A lot of the elders are going for the demonization and the tricks. You know, it's understandable. They're not out there in the front line. But it's happening, and this is going to keep happening. Not every Moor is going to be walking around in his fez 24/7. Understand this, people. You're living in a de facto government. What does a de facto government do? Do they follow the rules? No, they don't follow the rules. All right, that police force is a de facto paramilitary organization. We have the same problem everybody else have that's occupied by this organization. I say it again, every nationality suffers threat, duress, and coercion at the hands, and death and murder at the hands of the Roman forces, the Popo. Everyone. It's just that so-called blacks, denationalized Moors, suffer it disproportionately, suffer it a lot more. They're not worried about some of these old heads in the temple. They're worried about them young people out there in the street that's getting oppressed every day. That all some of us can do is look down upon and scorn unless we see them dressed up the way we want them to, so we can live in a fantasy world that everything is nice and hunky-dory. Because after all, we're the real whites, right? I mentioned Black Power earlier because I was going to talk about the Deruba Moore situation and the alleged attack by the new Black Panther Party on this Panther elder. But I think I'm going to leave that for another time, and I'm going to let more information come out about that. I will say that we do need a people's court, tribunal, or something of that nature, because this divide and conquer thing that sets us apart and divides us for generations to come, whether it's Panther, us organization, Crip, Blood, you know, all this stuff is just ridiculous. It's just crazy. And as a Moor, you know, we shouldn't be caught up in the common walks of life. We should be on an elevated plane. But what happens in one sector of the movement affects the whole, guaranteed. Every organization is bound by cord to every other organization because they all come from the same mother, do they not? Again, I want to send condolences to the family of Brother Mansur Ball-Bey. From God we come, and to Him we return, and all the others who have been unjustly murdered, coerced, threatened, raped, and whatever else by police terrorists here in the United States and around the world. And so I'm going to leave you with this song. And as always, peace, love, all the above.
You looking at it the wrong way. The hood's an institution and it's governed by the thugs and the cops, the one that's ruling, and they riding for the wealthy and rich. There's a difference. See, the wealthy put the dope in the hood. For instance, tell me about the real Ricky Boss and the plot to destroy black minds at all costs. Today is DMT, yesterday it was crack. Even the younger generation can't get better than that. The Truth and Reconciliation Committee said it's a pity how they gave them waivers to move about freely through the city and for black power. Nigga, you can get shot trying to tell another nigga he can't sell that rock. It wasn't till the dope came with all the drugs, and now we're niggas running around free black and 21, but it was only free to be dumb. Killing off your own, used to fight for your freedom, now you fighting over zones, and they house us in zones. Keep an eye on us with drones. If you ain't seen them, you gon' see them soon over your homes. Understand what's going on in the position you in. Is it sitting standing upon when you defending your kids, when you defending your career, when you a defender of other people, when you ain't gon' live, and you ain't gon' live like a slave in this day and age. The noble sage came to lead us with humanity up out of your grave. Take a hold of the line, it's called resurrection nation. Time to free your mind, that's the Lazarus equation.